עברו 3 שבועות מתחילת המלחמה. למלחמה הזו יש שלבים, היום אנחנו עוברים שלב. כוחות שלנו מבצעים כעת פעילות קרקעית ברצועת עזה. הפעילות הזו מלווה על ידי אש מדויקת וכבדה. אלה נועדו לשרת את כל מטרות המלחמה. פירוק חמאס, ביטחון בגבולות ומאמץ עליון להשבת כל החטופים הביתה. עד כה הצבנו את קו ההגנה. תקפנו. לאויב יש מאות רבות של הרוגים, תשתיותיו מושמדות. המצב בעזה הוא תוצאה של מעשיו הנפשעים של חמאס, שם האחריות. מיטב הלוחמים והמפקדים מאומנים ומוכנים היטב, פועלים כעת בעזה. פגשתי אותם בימים האחרונים. כולם חדורי שליחות ואמונה בצדקת דרכנו, הדרך של מדינת ישראל.
In the Bible, in the portion that we read this week, it speaks about a world filled with Hamas. That's the Hebrew word for violence, for bloodshed, for murder. And it's repeated twice. And in this world filled with Hamas, God says, I will finally obliterate all the Hamas, all the violence, all the corruption. And God brings the great flood. This was the last resort because it had so filled the world, so toxified, so polluted its environment that there was no other choice. But this obliteration came through a flood, which was also a way of cleansing the world. The goal was not destruction. The goal was cleansing. The goal was renewal, renaissance. But sometimes you have to get rid of the infection. And we also read how God chose Noah and his family, the righteous one, to preserve them so they can rebuild the world. The lessons for our times cannot be more obvious. Hamas, or Hamas, has infected humanity. And they've revealed their hand by showing the brutality, the atrociousness, that the blood-curdling, that even people who are seasoned veterans can't look and see what they did. The 1,350 innocent men, women, and children, elderly, babies. So there comes a point where there's no choice. We have to bring a flood to obliterate, to annihilate the Hamas that has infected. Not because we want to do so, but because there's no choice. But the goal is cleansing. The goal is rebuilding. The goal is to bring out the best in human beings. And this isn't just a Jewish effort. This is a global effort. Because it affects all of us. All people in this world that love life, love decency and civility. So, is this a message from above? I mean, I cannot see how it's not. It's almost eerie that as we read, literally as we read in the Bible this week, how the world is filled with Hamas, and as a result comes the flood. So now too we need to obliterate and annihilate every form of Hamas. Let's start with the physical form, the most blatant sense of it. And I'll read words from the book of Joel. The book of Joel, the prophet says that the enemy land shall become desolate and a desert waste because of, and I'm reading the Hebrew now, Mechamas b'nei Yehuda asher shafchu dam noki ba'artzam, because of the violence done to the children of Judah, because they had shed innocent blood in their land. And then it continues in the next verse. This is Joel 4:19. V'Yehuda la'elam Teshev Yerushalayim l'der v'der. But Judah shall remain forever, and Jerusalem throughout all generations. And in the book of Isaiah, 60:18, he says, violence, Hamas, la yishma oid Hamas ba'artzecha. Violence shall no longer be heard in your land. Neither robbery nor destruction within your borders. And you shall call salvation your walls, and your gates praise. We also look in the book of Psalms 140, and repeats time and again, protect me from the man of Hamas, the Ish Hamasim, from the man of violence. Repeats it, I believe, 3 or 4 times in Psalm 140. And finally says, let the evil of the man of violence trap him until he is overthrown. I know that the Lord will execute judgment for the poor, justice for the needy. Ach tzadikim yodu l'shmecha, yeshru yesharim es panecha. Indeed, the righteous will extol your name, the upright will dwell in your presence. And that's on one end of things. But that's not our goal. It's not the goal of vengeance. The goal is cleansing. And indeed, that is why Noah and his family are told to build an ark to protect themselves from these raging waters that need to obliterate the Hamas. Build an ark. In Hebrew, the word ark also means word. Build words, says the Baal Shem Tov, build holy words, sacred words of prayer and of Torah, of study, that will protect you, will serve as an oasis for the righteous, the tzaddikim. Noach was a tzaddik, a righteous. So you can protect yourself and ultimately rebuild the world until we transform a world of Hamas to a world of the divine. But everything that exists in macrocosm also exists in microcosm. If there's any evil in the world, it means we have to look inside our hearts and souls to also obliterate it within ourselves, even in the most subtle form. So this is a time that we should declare war in our own hearts, in our own souls, against even any semblance of Hamas, any semblance of violence, of anger, of hurt, of crime, of corruption. We should eradicate and cleanse every sense and semblance of it. And that too has an impact until we transform this world into yet another verse in the book of Isaiah, filling a world with divine knowledge as the waters cover the sea, which, as the prophet says, will also eliminate lo yoreyu v'lo yashchisu b'chol har kodeshi. There will be no more evil, no more destruction in my holy mountain and in the entire world. Each of us is called upon at a time like this to make that moral decision. It's very clear. It's not ambiguous. Good and evil, right and wrong, light and dark. And may we merit that this should happen in the fastest possible way with the least amount of pain. That is, my friends, one of the most profound lessons that we read and learn about this week. Please join us in this spiritual war. Go to meaningfullife.com, as well as our WhatsApp group, Spiritual War, for an array of resources and tools to help find clarity, hope, strength, and the ability to demonstrate that our passion for light, our passion for love, is deeper and greater than their passion for death, for murder, for darkness. And that will ultimately transform the darkness into the greatest possible light.
גם ביממה האחרונה המשכנו לתקוף, להשמיד מפקדים בארגון הטרור חמאס, לפגוע בפעילים, לפגוע בתשתיות, גם על ידי הכוחות הקרקעיים עצמם שפוגשים אויב, וגם על ידי מערכי האש שתומכים אותם, מהאוויר, מהים ומהיבשה, עוטפים אותם במודיעין על מנת שיהיו אפקטיביים יותר. אנחנו עוקבים אחר ההתפתחויות האזוריות ומוכנים לכל תרחיש. כל הפיקודים המרחביים של צה"ל, ביחד עם כל הזרועות והאגפים, מוכנים להתפתחויות האפשריות ותומכים את מאמץ הלחימה. בגבול הצפון אנחנו במוכנות גבוהה מאוד למנוע ולסכל ניסיונות של חיזבאללה לפגוע באזרחי ישראל או בחיילי צה"ל, כפי שעושה פיקוד הצפון בהצלחה בימים האחרונים. כוחות הקרקעיים מבצעים כעת פעולה חשובה ומורכבת. יעדי המלחמה מחייבים כניסה קרקעית. אין הישגים ללא סיכונים, וכפי שאנחנו יודעים, אין ניצחון ללא מחירים. כדי לחשוף את האויב, כדי להשמיד אותו, אין דרך אלא להיכנס בעוצמה לשטח שלו. הפעולה הזאת משרתת את כל מטרות המלחמה. ב7 באוקטובר, לפני 3 שבועות, חמאס ביצע פשע נגד האנושות כולה. חמאס מחזיק כעת בחפים מפשע, תינוקות, ילדים, נשים, גברים ואזרחים מבוגרים מאוד. החזרת החטופים היא מאמץ לאומי עליון. ממני ועד כל החיילים ברצועת עזה נעשה הכל על מנת להצליח במאמץ הזה. ליבנו וכוחנו עם המשפחות ועם החטופים. הצבנו לעצמנו מטרות ברורות והדרך תהיה ארוכה. נשלב עוצמה ומחשבה. נזכור, נילחם בנחישות וננצח.